Okay, I think now it's time to start. Hi all, I'm Elif Savas from E.ON and I will chair the webinar today with you. And sorry for the inconvenience of changing the platform, but thank for you all for still being here today and making it. Our webinar will be about energy communities and we will address different topics with focus on our NESOI projects. In addition, thanks for presenters who make themselves available today for the webinar and will give us a great insight about various energy community topics. Feel free to include your questions in the chat. We will get back to them at the end of the webinar. And first, let's have a quick look on our today's agenda. So the webinar is structured into 4 parts today. First of all, the first part will be an introduction to energy communities presented by Vladyslav Milshyn. We will talk about types of communities around European Union and also the general barriers of energy communities. The second part of the webinar will be about the NESOI projects, as already mentioned, about lessons learned and best practices. Here we have the project NEPTUNUS in Halkii, presented by Vasileios Chantziaras. Then the FECOS project in Italy, in Sicily and Salina by Giacomo Pinaffo. And the third one will be the project POSIDON in Spain, in Menorca by Eduard Escolà. The third part of our webinar will be about establishing a new energy community by Ivan Zokovic. And the fourth part will be discussion. And here we will also point out your questions if you have any. And now I will directly hand over to my colleague Vladyslav, who will give us an insight about introduction to energy communities.
Thank you, Elif. Good morning, everyone. Thanks for joining. My name is Vladyslav Milshyn. As has been mentioned, I come from E.ON Group Innovation. Green, you see an extract from the article posted by European Commission, which says or provides quite a bold statement: energy communities will transform the European Union's energy system. And yeah, worse to note, it's not some other commercial newspaper, it's the statement by European Commission. So it is worth to pay attention to, given the fact that they put forward energy communities as an important vehicle that should drive energy transition forward. Next slide, please. So in the past, two, as we see, unrelated events have happened. In 2016, as we all know, European Commission has posted a clean energy package for all Europeans that was set to deliver a missing economic incentive for energy transformation or energy transition in Europe. There we have seen a new vehicle as energy communities that have been defined, and that vehicle was set to maximize customer participation or end consumer participation in the energy transition. The second event, or set of events in 2020s, is the introduction of next generation green funds, where billions of euros per country without any predefined vehicles were put in place to further accelerate energy transition. Not to forget the incentives and funds placed to further deploy renewables, and especially in a decentralized way. So those two events, we believe, will further accelerate or provide economic, social, and environmental benefits, as well as maximize and consumer or citizens' participation in the energy transition. And as part of this, two events that are going to catalyze energy transition, we see that local energy communities will be significantly pushed by the politicians to become a reality. Next slide, please. two main types, as many of you might already know, of energy communities that exist, defined by the Clean Energy Package. It's the citizen energy community and the renewable energy community. There are many similarities between those two. The stakeholders or members that can participate are the same. They both were defined not for the financial gain or profits, but rather to enhance, as written here, environmental, economic, and social community benefits. The main or the major difference between those two is that renewable energy community is or supposed to be built around renewable energy projects or renewable energy power plant, where stakeholders or members of it are located in the proximity of it and can share electricity generated or green electricity generated by those assets. There is another difference, is that the citizen energy community encompasses a wider range of activities or roles. For example, this type of energy community can perform services for energy efficiency or charging services for electric vehicles, while in the renewable energy community, it's all around production, consumption, storage, or selling renewable energy as it's built around renewable energy power plant. Next slide, please. Several types of incentivized communities that we can see or have seen before and can see today. The first two are well-known virtual communities on the national scale and also on the regional scale, and that's basically related to us as consumers being able to buy electricity that is produced remotely, either somewhere in the country or somewhere in the region. And the major way to justify that this energy came from those power plants is set by certificates of origin. That's basically the contracts that we had with our energy suppliers. The two new approaches to energy sharing that we see are emerging from the regulations is the collective self-consumption community and the condo community. The collective self-consumption community is set to allow a collective self-consumption, as the name suggests, of renewable electricity using the public network. So as an example, in Spain, it is allowed to install a PV plant on the rooftop, and then the members of the community are located in the proximity of this plant, previously 500-meter radius circle. Right now it has been updated to 2-kilometer radius circle, can consume electricity from that power plant virtually and get savings on the electricity bill. The condo community is a bit more local, so it's on the building level. So the residents of the condominium or multi-family house, for example, can get electricity that is produced by the rooftop PV installed on their building, which was not the case before. We believe that in the future, there will not be one or another type of communities being built. It will be instead the combination of those types that will be brought to the market. And you will see several examples of those in the projects to be presented later on. Next slide, please. Right, so in terms of barriers or opportunities, so energy communities are rapidly being put on the political agendas of national legislators, and will be, in some countries are already imposed, in some countries are coming into force very soon. So the European Union is targeting 21 gigawatt for energy sharing only in Europe by 2030. So the renewable energy power plants or installations that will be used for sharing electricity with the citizens. While some regulators or regulations in many European countries are still slightly behind to completely transpose all the frameworks and directives to allow energy sharing. There are examples of countries like Spain, France, Portugal, Italy, where energy sharing is already permitted for local energy communities. And with this, I would like to pass the word forward to Elif so we can hear real life examples of energy communities and different services around that.
Thank you, Vladyslav, for giving us such a great introduction in the energy communities topic. And now, as Vladyslav already mentioned, we reach to the main part of our webinar, the NESOI projects. Here we will have a great insight in the best practices and lessons learned. And we will start with the first project. Greece, the island of Halkii, the project Neptunus, and I will directly hand over to Vasileios.
Thank you. Hello, everyone. My name is Vasileios Chantziaras. I'm a mechanical engineer and hold the position of science advisor to the mayor of Chalki. Also, I am a board member of the energy community of Chalki, E.ONÇ. I would like to thank the NESOI team for giving me and the island of Chalki the opportunity to present what we have achieved so far under the Neptunus project. Next slide, please. So, what is the Neptunus project about? It focuses on the island of Chalki and how to exploit the wave energy to cover the needs of the island and to increase the renewable energy sources penetration to the energy mixture. Neptunus' main goal was to evaluate the wave energy potential around the island. To do so, a detailed scientific analysis of the wave characteristics was performed in order to get as accurate as possible results. The beneficiaries of the project are mainly the Municipality of Chalki that had applied to the NESOI call and was awarded this technical assistance. Of course, if we look deeper in this, it is the people of Chalki, residents or visitors, that will benefit from this project. Also, given that Chalki is interconnected to the island of roads through a submerged cable, people on roads as well will also benefit from this project to some extent. The municipality did not have the capacity to perform this project. Given the flexibility provided by the NESOI call, all the work was assigned to accredited associates that have the expertise in this field. The University of West Attica, the private company E.ON and the R2M, all partners equipped with extensive experience in similar projects. Next slide, please. So, what did the project include? First, the extensive analysis of the wave potential around the island. 6 areas were examined in detail based on the information provided by the locals. Scientific models that describe the complex wave characteristics were used in order to assess this critical information, how much energy is available around the island of Chalki. The results of this analysis were further evaluated and analyzed to determine what type of wave energy technology should be used and where this infrastructure should be installed. Besides that, since we want this project to be realized, the project also focused on the bureaucracy it will face during the realization of the station. Permits, licenses, administrative tasks, etc. were extensively analyzed and very useful information resulted from this analysis, information that has to be taken into account prior to initiating any actions. Let's not forget, of course, that this project is about protecting the environment, and we will focus on this as well by using technologies and methodologies during the implementation of this project to enhance the protection of the environment. And we want this project to extend beyond the island of Chalki, to be easy to replicate. The results of this project, of course, are focused on the island of Chalki, but a great deal of information can be used on other islands in Greece and elsewhere. Next slide, please. So, how does the energy community fit in this project? Well, some introductory information about the community. It was established in 2021 by 18 founding members that believed in this idea. Today, we have 178 members, including the municipality. And up to now, more than 100 membership applications have been submitted to join the community, a fact that clearly indicates the acceptance of the community in the public and the role it plays to cope with energy costs and energy poverty in general. The community operates an 1 megawatt PV plant that has produced 3.2 gigawatt hours of clean energy so far. Having said how many people want to join the community, it is clear that we have to increase our capacity to produce more energy for more people to benefit from it. That is why the wave energy station is expected to be realized by the community. A key role in this decision is the operating flexibility the community has when compared to the municipality, a public entity. The benefits of the realization of the wave energy station will be spread across all members of the community, but also to the visitors of the island, since they will know that the energy they consume during their stay is clean and sustainable. Apart from this, having a new renewable energy source under the community will allow us to focus on new projects like e-mobility for land use and for marine transport, and an innovative system to provide air conditioning that is an energy-intensive operation to our members. Next slide, please. What do we have learned from NEPTUNUS project? Well, first of all, that wave energy is a promising solution. It is not in the scale we see, for example, in the North Sea, but it is concluded that even in enclosed seas like the Aegean, wave energy has favorable characteristics. How we learned this? By thorough scientific research. It's essential to perform detailed research and analysis on this area so as to have concrete, robust, and reliable results. Also, during this project, we came across main available technologies with varying technology readiness level. This gives us a wide spectrum of choices, but for our case, we need a high TRL, 8 at least, for the project to be favorable for funding and investing on it. Another relation is that a wide range of experts is needed. Nobody knows everything, and in our case, we needed extensive experience on this very specialized field, experience that we found in the partners mentioned before. And since this project was run by a public authority, we found out that it is difficult with the current framework of public law to implement collaborations between the municipality and private sector. That's another reason why the community is chosen to implement the next stage of the NEPTUNUS project. Next slide, please. So, the best practices. NESOI calls are focused on innovation, new ideas, and new conceptual designs. It's clear that we have to be open to new suggestions, listen to the experts, collect as much information as possible. To do so, a dedicated team is needed, people that believe in this concept and want to work towards its realization. It takes a lot of time and effort, but it's sure worth it. And the final note, record keeping. Complex projects like this sometimes require back and forth movements, so a good record keeping of all the related information is a good idea to follow. Thank you all for your attention.
Thank you, Vasileios, for presenting the project NEPTUNUS. Now we have the next project in Italy, in the islands of Sicily and Salina, the project FECOS, and this will be presented by Giacomo, and I directly pass over to you.
Thanks. Good morning, everybody. So I'm Giacomo Pinaffo, legal representative of, well, actually the energy community that has been partner of this project, based, as was said, in Sicily, in the island of Sicily in Italy. So next, please. So as said, we are based in southern Italy, and the main goal of the project was to finalize a solidarity-based energy community model implemented by us in the Municipality of Messina and then replicated in 3 other Sicilian territories where we work. The beneficiaries are therefore the association of the energy community that was already existing, of the first energy community developing its model, and then 2 non-for-profit foundations which are engaged in the sustainable social development of several territories, the marginalized territories in Sicily, and that were helping, let's say, the fine-tuning of the model and replication of the model itself. We did that with also an external expert, an ESCO, a European an energy service company, based here in Messina, and also for the support of 2 partners from the partnership, Simulok and R2M. So next, please. So first of all, the starting point, let's say, the solidarity-based energy community model actually had already been as an idea that was developed as an outcome of a more complex and structured urban regeneration program that was implemented in a rundown neighborhood in Messina, downtown. We are talking, as you see in the picture, bottom left, of a slum, basically, that was existing in 1908 after an earthquake that destroyed the city. Part of this neighborhood was dismantled within this overarching program of urban regeneration carried out by the foundation. And there we, as you see also in the picture, we created 6 green housing units to house disadvantaged families and also community services. So with a specific, let's say, social approach, and also a public park that helped supported the regeneration of the whole area of the slum. Next, please. So those buildings that were created became integrating a lot of different technologies for the full sustainability of the buildings themselves. Integrate several elements. First of all, of course, the systems for the renewable energy production, energy storage system also to maximize the self-production and consumption efficiency, and therefore also the optimization, allowing the optimization of the feed-in tariff for the energy community. Several consumption monitoring systems to also check the behavior, the consumption behavior of inhabitants in order to encourage the sustainable consumption behavior. And we also developed, together with the National Research Councils, an algorithm, so a software combined with the hardware that takes into account also the levels of economic and social fragility of the members of the community, so as to tackle energy poverty and inequality. Basically, by building this infrastructure, and therefore also the electric network connecting these buildings, allowed us to have a full control over the energy production and distribution systems. And we integrated this system, this software additional element, let's say, in allowing us, as I said, to also integrate the dimensions such as, for instance, the income of the families, the health level of and the health difficulties and criticalities of the members of the communities, and so on, in order to be able to readdress the tariffs, readdress the economic benefits of the community to those more in need within the community, with a specific social, therefore, approach in addition to the environmental, of course, target. So next, please. Thanks to the NESOI project, we managed to fine-tune the system, the model itself, integrating also, of course, also the economic dimensions within together with the social and environmental dimensions. And we designed then also the replication plan for 3 additional remote territories, engaging the local communities, the local municipalities in those territories where we also work, in order to promote the use of this model of the solidarity-based energy community model as a tool for community welfare in this community. So in order to support also the local authority is in tackling social and economic issues of the marginalized families and in their territories, tackling therefore also their energy poverty and inequality. Additional funding has also been raised in order to implement these models, and the new energy communities in the new target territories are ready to be launched, as the plan has been developed, designed, and fine-tuned. But unfortunately, we are still waiting for the last regulatory acts from the national authority, allowing the formal, let's say, activation of the energy communities. So next, please. So what are the lessons learned throughout the project? First of all, the fact that the addition, let's say, the integration of the social dimensions in the community fosters the creation of community ties. The objective in these of our energy communities is not just that of maximizing energy, let's say, benefits and economic benefits, but also maximization of social bonds and social ties within the community. Because by adding this element, by adding the algorithm, above all, we let's say we engage the members in also assessing the different needs, social needs, economic needs, health needs of the different members, together with, of course, the support of social mediators, allowing that kind of debate. And therefore, the community becomes more aware of the fragilities of the members, and also taking that into account in the design of the redistribution of the economic advantages, agreeing on the distribution principles, and therefore also, I mean, strengthening the community bonds. Therefore. And we have also seen that, of course, I mean, marginalized municipalities are eager to find new opportunities to generate resources for local community welfare programs. So it's not just a matter of improving their energy efficiency, but it's also a matter of providing them tools, technical tools, such as these kind of models that can allow municipalities to generate, let's say, autonomous sources of funding that can be used for distributive purposes, supporting the local community welfare programs. Because by implementing these kind of communities, they are able also to support, let's say, the more disadvantaged people, allowing, let's say, focus the redistribution also of the energy benefits to those more in need. And therefore, let's say, this kind of policy supports a more wider community welfare approach. Next, please. So the best practices developed throughout the project. Well, the energy community, the first energy community developed in the Messina suburb, has become a pilot site for actually several technological and social innovation. We have been able to attract there also additional, for instance, EU funding, for instance, an Horizon 2020 program dedicated to the development of hybrid storage systems and other, let's say, funding, because it's a pilot site, as we said, that we fully, let's say, control in terms of infrastructure and software, and therefore is useful to test several mechanisms, several tools, instruments, and so on, in order to fine-tune technologies that can be then more easily replicated in other contexts. The solidarity-based approach, thanks to the design of the algorithm, is also a useful tool that has been fine-tuned, and that by being integrated into the model of the energy communities, let's say, adds these social dimensions together with combined with the environmental dimension, and making it interesting for as a more generic, let's say, community welfare tool, as said before. And all these have been combined, let's say, into a toolkit for municipalities that can be adopted easily, because, I mean, these toolkits includes all the regulatory, let's say, structure in order to implement this kind of community, with, for instance, also the draft of the decisions and of the formal steps that municipalities have to implement in order to create this sort of community, making it easier for, again, for marginalized municipalities who have also technical issues, administrative issues, to follow the path and replicate this kind of example, let's say. Next, please. I guess it's over.
Exactly.
Yeah, exactly. So the presentation of our experience is over. Of course, I mean, again, I'm available then afterwards for all the further details and comments.
Thank you, Giacomo. Sounds very interesting. The last project we have in this part is the project Posidon in the island of Menorca in Spain. And I directly hand over to Eduard, who will present us.
Hi, hello everyone. Thanks for coming. Well, my name is Eduard Escolà, and I'm here in behalf of the Menorca Council. We collaborate with the NESOI project, and so they helped us with some studies about energy communities. Next slide, please. Okay, our area of interest is the whole island of Menorca. And what we have done here is to try to have feasibility studies for different kinds of energy communities. If you'll see the next slides, we had four different kinds of communities. The Menorca Council is the beneficiary of the NESOI project, and we have many other partners, external and internal, coming from NESOI directly. Next slide, please. Okay, then our objectives in this project is always about the how to create new kinds of energy communities. So we are coming from the existing planning document we have. We have to analyze them regarding to the regulation, it's almost always our biggest issue from making all those things that we are trying to do. That regulation will tell us the boundaries of the projects and the size of the projects that we can build or we can make to reality. So then after that, of course, we have to find the cost-benefit analysis and the technical and financial analysis. Next slide, please. Here we can see where are we coming from. So many years ago, we had our transition agenda. This is called the Menorca 2030 strategy. And it has a chapter talking about the Menorcan energy community. So to develop this chapter of our strategy is on we focus the NESOI help. So again, the regulation don't allow us to make by a quick way contracts bigger than 15 kilo euros. So we split the NESOI financing in 4 different small contracts for getting. That's why we have 4 studies that we will see at the next slide. And we have also a previous experience on energy communities, that is the industrial zone in San Luis. That is the only one that's just starting now in Menorca. Next slide, please. Okay, then let's start by the first study. As I said, we have 4 different studies. The first one is focused in one of the biggest towns in Menorca. It's about 30,000 people. We used the regulation that allows us, as Vladyslav said at the beginning, that in Spain it's allowed to share the energy produced if you are less than 500 meters. It was before, now it's about 2 kilometers. So the circles you see in the picture are the rows about where to arrive from public PV plant existing at this moment, and we make a circle of 500 meters around it. The easy way to make a community is usually to make just a circle, and we join one PV plant and the consumers that are inside the circle. But what we want to do here is to make a whole municipality community and have the basis and the how can we make the people get in and out of the community and change, make join the electric regulation and the aim of the energy community. So with only one community, we can move from one circle to another if one is full of consumers, and is like in to make it, to resume it, is like a whole package, not each circle one different package. It's the whole circles is only the one unique community, and you can move from one circle to another if it's needed. We need to know how to get the people in and how to get the people out of the community if they want to leave. From this study, what we have is which the ideal mix of factors. It means consumers and generation. We know the scalability mechanisms. So as I said before, the people get in and out of the community. And as we are working in a so high population density, many of them are living in conditions of energy poverty. So a part of the community is focused on that, on make the energy poverty get in the community also. Next slide, please. This is the most different community that we'll see in Menorca. It's about shared mobility, and of course electric shared mobility. We are coming from a very intensive use of private cars. The public transport is not still very used. It's used from 2 years ago, maybe a little more, but we have not very long distance, and people they want to take their own car, and I think it's almost in all the small islands is quite the same. Then we have a main road coming from the east to the west side of the island. That's where there are the biggest towns in the island. And what we did with this study is just to know a little the best place to have the big amount of the shared cars. From the public transport, this moment is going almost all by the main road. So it's quite difficult to share the mobility with the parts of the island that are in the ends of the island, not on the main road. So this study is about how to share the electric cars, and also where do we have to share them. Next slide, please. Okay, this is a particularity of many of the islands that have many touristic areas. So in these areas, we have a very seasonal consumption because those areas are full of hotels and touristic apartments, and there's almost nobody living there the whole year. So many of these facilities, the touristic facilities, they have their own PV plants for self-consumption. But when they close the hotels or the apartments and in winter, the energy that they can produce is no consumed. Nobody uses it. So with this study, what we were wanting to do is to find a way to use this energy and make it be used in places out of these areas, beyond the area that can be used with the self-consumption, the 2 kilometers that we said before, and with a kind of PPA winter. These companies that have the PV plants can sell the the energy they don't use to people living in parts of a town where they don't have space enough to build their own PV plants. So the difficulty is always the regulation again, because we have to make to put in contact different private sectors, its citizens and touristic companies, and well, the regulation and also the engagement of the both parts. It's not easy to connect them. Okay, next slide, please. And the last study we have is about co-owned PV plant between people and citizens and public bodies. The plant you see in the picture is called Trepoconet. It's a PV plant that can achieve 1.5 megawatts. At this moment, we have a problem with the connection capacity of the grid, and we cannot build more than 500 kilowatts. So with this study, we wanted to match the public contract law. It's not an easy thing, with the electric law, electric market law. So we had, after this study, we had 4 different ways on which we can share the owning of the plant or the owning of the energy produced in the plant between the public administration and the citizens' interest in that. Okay, next slide. What did we learn from this experience? So, first of all, when we think on energy communities, at least in Spain, we always think only about self-consumption. So we learned about some kinds of different kinds of energy communities. We had the legal advice on how to create them. Also the technical advice, and we have had to talk about which are the barriers to fight against, or barriers we don't have to fight against because it's not possible at the moment to fight again, or these barriers can engage more people on creating energy communities. Next slide. And the best practices. So from this project, what we have is some models on which we can base new local energy communities. We have in each study, we have created like the baseline for creating each kind of it. We have the toolkit for it. It's like almost the same that I said before. And of course, we knew a little more how to engage the community. It's not easy sometimes to engage the people. And if we have as much more kinds of energy communities, we can engage different people on that. So I think it's a good way to engage them. Okay, I think it's all from my side.
Yeah, thank you, Eduard, especially for sharing this study. It's very interesting. And now we reach to the third part of our webinar, the establishing a new energy community by Ivan. So Ivan, I hand over to you.
Thank you very much. So hello to everybody. My name is Ivan, but you can call me Cola. So I will present briefly all about energy communities in Croatia, especially on islands of Korčula and islands of Cres, where I mostly do my work through island movement, NGO, that deals with sustainable development on Croatian islands. Next slide, please. So just to describe my ecosystem, I do through NGO and non-governmental organization, and partly through energy cooperatives, which are, let's say, my focus. So in SMAG, I do a lot of sustainable development and permaculture. I used to work for UNDP program as consultants for energy communities and renewable energy sources in undeveloped countries like Tajikistan, Kyrgyzstan. And as I mentioned, Pokret Otoka, actually it's Island Movement, it's an NGO that deals with the development of Croatian islands. And through this projects, we also established a couple of cooperatives. For example, this subsidiary is cooperative, energy cooperative on Cres, energy cooperative Novi Otok is on Korčula, and green energy cooperative from Zagreb, where I used to work. And when I was dealing with this cooperative, I established the first community in Croatia and did the crowdfunding schemes in Croatia. Next slide, please. So just to bear in mind what kind of situation do we have in Croatia. So as you can see, regarding the capacities of installed photovoltaic systems in Croatia, we are on the far bottom of EU standards. We really have so few PV systems installed, although we do have the potentials. And what we saw that so few projects are led by energy communities. On contrary, in Germany, you have like almost 50% of all renewables led by small investors or communities. And so we kind of saw that this is something that we need to do. So we try to figure out how to do it. So next slide, please. So according to our research and from our partners, we saw that the future of energy systems will definitely be on a decentralized, democratized, and digitalized fashion. So we focused on energy cooperatives and small households, so we can kind of push the energy transition in Croatia. Next slide, please. So the most, let's say, important things is when you are trying to establish new communities to find out who is the leader of, or let's say the initiator of this project. It can be like a group of people or individual or even some local authorities, but it's really important to have someone who will push the idea. If it's local authority, they kind of have the biggest role in let's say gathering community in their own local sense, especially if they are really willing to do, because it's really hard. Sometimes you have to not only fight, but you have to go against all odds, sometimes do something which is not, let's say, so ordinary. So really you need to have like really strong willingness to do it. What we also figure out that you should rely on proven technologies. I know as much as it's really kind of tempting to use something which is innovative, it can be let's say tricky to engage and to keep community on something which is not tangible, which is not proven. You can do the innovation later, but first let's stick to the proven technologies. And what we also figured out that you should do on a small scale and a big scale. So definitely you should engage people to do their own, let's say, PV systems or energy renovation, or I don't know, buying electric car or using more of the public transport. But you should also do larger projects because then it's easier to scale up and you can kind of have the bigger impact. You can even join some members of your community that they, I don't know, they either have already all these energy renovation or PVs, or actually they are living in some situation that is not possible. So definitely synergy of all sectors is very important. We did lots of education on, let's say, from the kindergarten all this to the universities, but also with private sector, with business sector, and also with municipalities. And sometimes we also find out that lots of our municipalities, especially on the islands, they are undercapacitated because they don't have any, they don't have the technical knowledge, they don't have the expertise or resources. So when you combine with the, let's say, with NGO sector and with the academia, you can kind of bridge this gap and then do the project successfully. And of course, let's say, running the energy community on a long term, it's really a laborious job. You always has to continue communication, lots of I remember one time when we were site visiting to island of Samso, and Soren said that, okay, energy community, it is about energy and technical stuff, but it's also about drinking beer and coffee with your community, because lots of meetings, lots of discussion. So you should definitely do this to build trust among your local community. Next slide, please. So let's present here. This is our last, let's say, the newest energy cooperative in Croatia. It's on island of Cres and Lošinj. It's the North Adriatic Sea. Let's say that this is the one community in Croatia that has also town of Cres and town of Mali Lošinj as members. And we figured out that this is, let's say, the best way how you can start your local community, energy community. Now we are, we started with one, let's say, smaller project. I'm also founder, one of the founders of this community energy cooperative, because I had the experience with crowdfunding in renewable energy projects. Our idea is to, okay, let's start with a small project. We will crowdfund it. It's a PV plant, 500 kilowatts. It's not big, but it's somehow like a point, like a snowball that can later on make a, let's say, an avalanche. And it really happened because on this project, lots of other members came and said, okay, I have this project, I have this project, and now we are building. We scale it up. We are now through this cooperative and cooperative on Corčula Island, we are doing like 27 megawatts PV projects. So let's say that this is how you can start and push. Start from the small, but think big, and try to engage all the members of your community. So that's it about Croatian energy communities. I hope it was fruitful for you. Thank you.
Thank you, Chola, for presenting. Very interesting. And yeah, now we are already done with the presentations, and we prepared some questions for you, but maybe also a hint for the audience. We still haven't received any questions related to the presentations. You still have time for that. And yeah, the first question we have here are for all our presenters. It's question is, in your country, what elements could further improve the accessibility of renewable energies to all consumer groups? And I first would like to hand over this question to Eduard.
Okay, then maybe the people that are engaged in those kind of things, I think they have no problem. They are aware of that and they know how to do it. But sometimes the thing is, you have to get to the other people, the other kinds of people. you need a lot of information, a lot of meetings, and another thing is that there are people that are living sometimes in energy poverty, and they have a lot of problems that are bigger for them than the getting in an energy community. So I think it is the most difficult part of the people that we can arrive to them. Maybe a good way should be some, we are thinking on it, some public, so they can get involved in that with not a very great investment from the site. So that's the way that it could not be a big problem for them to get an energy community, and they can focus on their own life problems that are usually bigger for them.
Thank you. Vasileios, what do you think about this question?
Well, I think there are two different aspects to enhance the energy communities. First, on the technical basis. I believe that here in Greece, and I think it's true for Europe as well, the grid issue. We have a concession on the grid that doesn't allow energy communities, newly established or under establishment, to connect to the grid. And therefore, there is a reluctance for the people that are active in this to go on to pursue this initiative to create an energy community, because they cannot get connection deals to the grid. This has to be dealt with. Another issue, more general, is information to the people. I think the general public still is not aware of the benefits they can have through an energy community and how they can cooperate together. There is a big issue there of trust, not only to the people that run energy communities, but also to the people between them. It is not very easy to collaborate different culture, different ages, different educational levels of people in order to act together and to cooperate and to create an energy community, to be a community. So I think there has to be a lot of effort there to inform people and to present them the benefits they can have, not only on the economic basis, what they will profit, but also to the environmental benefits that an energy community can create.
Thank you. Giacomo, over to you. What are your insights?
I can just add on what has just been said from our Greek partner, because I totally agree on what has been said. Meaning adding just, let's say, again, maybe the social, strengthening, let's say, the social dimension, meaning that indeed, often focusing on our main target, which is marginalized communities, marginalized people, there's a need of, let's say, spreading information. But also it's about social mediation, meaning it's not about, of course, just providing them the technological information, the technological training, let's say, on how it works, which is something fundamental, but it's also about bridging the cultural gap, let's say, between these marginalized communities who have nothing to do and don't know anything about energy management, energy production, and so on. With these kind of tools. So supporting them in the mediation process, making them understand how this can be helpful for wider, let's say, development of their local context, and again, strengthening their community through this kind of approach. So it's not just a matter of providing them a tool to have higher, let's say, incomes, just to have energetic and economic benefits, but also it's a tool to build stronger community, as was said in my presentation. And so indeed, we need to bridge that gap between technological solutions and communities, above all the marginalized communities who don't have often the instruments, let's say, and the capacity of understanding independently these technological world.
Yeah, very interesting. Thank you. Chola, is there anything you would like to add?
Yeah, so to add something else, what has been already said, which I agree on, I always kind of think that energy communities and cooperatives are always, let's say, fighting or having a competition in commercial projects. And sometimes I feel it's not fair because, you know, we put all these, let's say, some kind of how should I say, like a cap on energy community shouldn't be commercial, shouldn't be that way, but sometimes I don't know how to do it, probably in some kind of a state law, that some of the, let's say, grid connection or finance elements or instruments are only dedicated to energy communities, because especially when we are rising up with this idea of energy community on an EU level, the same as we did with commercial projects. Let's say 20, 30 years ago, we had feed-in tariffs, lots of subsidies for commercial renewable energy projects. That's the reason why we also had to have them for energy community projects, to kind of bridge the gap so we can scale up.
Thank you. Vladyslav, is there anything from your side you would like to add?
Sorry, I think it was described quite well. Just to quickly maybe summarize, so to make the renewable energy more accessible to all, I think it's clear that it has to be very simple to get access to that. So giving all the regulations in place, rules on how you need to establish the community to get all the incentives or get to be able to share that electricity, it's quite cumbersome even for commercial companies as a start. So until it's well established, I think there should be an actor like a energy community manager that would guide the end consumers through the process, or even not involve them in the process, but just say you could rent a PV panel or 2 or 3 and get your green energy. That PV panel, PV system is installed somewhere in the neighborhood. You can point where, and that's it. So every month on your bill, you will get savings, and the end consumer doesn't have to bother about all the other things. It's all done in the background by a certified or any third-party manager that is taking care of the establishing the energy sharing scheme on the behalf of the end users. Speaking of DSO and distribution system operator network challenges, I think that's an arising issue, and some countries already critical. To me, it's a two-way street. One is the DSOs will have to make it more transparent for end consumers or energy community operators on where there are issues, so that those areas are left behind in a way, and then communities are built in areas where there are connections. I think that would accelerate the process. And the second one is, again, having a professional actor that would be able to identify the issues and potentially be able to provide solutions to the DSO to be able to accelerate connecting new PV plants. There are various technical solutions that could support that. Meantime, DSOs are working on long-term upgrades, which takes time, as we know.
Thank you, Vladyslav. Thank you all for sharing all your thoughts on this. And we continue with the next question. And I brought this question for Vasileios. So what is your previous experience with renewable energies as an energy community? And what is economical feasibility of wave energy in comparison to other energy sources like solar power?
Yeah, so previous experience. As mentioned before, the community operates in 1 megawatt PV plant. This is sole experience we have. It operates now for 2.5 years. And what we have experienced so far is that the PV plant is stable technology. It's a mature technology, obviously, and it can operate with ease and with no effort and or other issues, mainly. So going to the wave energy, that's a big step, I would say, because we use, we are trying to be innovative in this area. Wave energy still is not a widely commercially available technology. But what we do on the island of Chalki, we want to be innovative and we want to bring new ideas and new solutions to the energy system. And of course, since we are an island, we focus on what the resources we have: sun, wind, and of course the sea around us and the wave energy. If we want to compare it to wave energy to other solutions, it is true that it's not very competitive. Wave energy still is an expensive solution, but the technology advances, and I think if we look at the trend of the euro per kilowatt installed or per kilowatt hours produced in this technology, we can see that it's dropping. So I believe that within the next few years, it will be competitive to other resources like wind or solar. And when we tried this technology, first of all, I said if we are an island, and there are many funding schemes now that can make this technology favorable for investment. So we want to exploit these resources, these financial resources, and we do so in an innovative way to install this wave energy converter system, and to be on the front line of this technology. And of course, what we will gain as an experience, we would like to share it with other islands in Greece, in the Mediterranean, or wherever, and to make this this technology more available to others as well.
Thank you. Interesting. So the next question is for Giacomo. Are you here?
Yes.
Okay.
Can you hear me?
So yeah, we can hear you. How can we ensure that the distribution of energy within the community adheres to principles of justice and equitable sharing of benefits?
Well, I can just repeat, let's say, what I've said, meaning that if we want to make energy community a tool for community welfare, so not just a technological, let's say, solution, but a way to improve the community welfare of those communities where we work. We always try to put at the core of the design the disadvantaged and more marginalized families and households, because what we want to achieve is, let's say, broadly speaking, an energy transition for all, and not just an energy transition for those who can afford it, because we, as society in general, we cannot afford that kind of approach. And by putting these people, the more disadvantaged at the core, means to design the whole framework in an economic, environmental, and social way that will be sustainable from all these, taking into account all these dimensions, and allowing, let's say, a higher distribution of those benefits to those more in need. In order to be really, let's say, just and equitable, as suggested by the same Commission, because in the Green Deal, we know that they are striving for an environmental and just transition. So that's why we underline also that social dimension. So. So that's it. I mean, by putting them at the core, we start from them, checking what are their needs, what are their weaknesses, let's say, their criticalities of these people from a more general point of view, but at the same time also what are the potentiality, because they might have anyway availability of roofs where to put solar panels, connection to the networks or to other neighborhoods that can be used. Also other social links, let's say, that can strengthen and help the creation of the community, and so on. So also not just the weaknesses, I said, but also the strengths and opportunities coming from these people, and then around them let's build, let's say, the community. And by engaging public authorities, also, I mean, that's relevant by letting them understand, making them understand that this tool again can be useful not just for a pure energy efficiency, for the improvement of the energy efficiency of their infrastructures, but also for the again for the financing and self-financing above all of community welfare policies, of development policies, supporting therefore those most disadvantaged. I would say these are the ways that we are and the approach that we are trying to implement in all the projects we are running at the moment.
Thank you. Very clear. So the next question I have is for Eduard. How did the project get affected by the limitations on grid access you encountered?
Okay, then when we have the 4 different studies that we presented, we have one of them that it's been quite affected on that, because the last one I presented, there was the PV plant owned by public authorities and the citizens. We have a very big issue because we don't have capacity on the grid to build something bigger than 500 kilowatts. So in that case, it's a big issue, because well, the thing is that the study is valuable also because the system that the model that we get from it's useful for other size of communities, but in this case especially we cannot build it the big as we want to build it. That makes that the financial feasibility of it's getting complicated, because you have to build almost all the facility producing less energy than the one you need to make it able. So in this case we have a problem, but in other cases the issues with the grid capacity can make the people engage to build new communities with smaller investments and smaller facilities. So they can use the roofs, they can use other places, other homes, other locations for building smaller facilities, so they have no problems with grid connection. It is the usual way it works, because the local energy communities usually based especially on self-consumption, they don't need a big amount of capacity in the grid. If we don't arrive to 500 kilowatts, so we don't have no problem. And that's why I said that the issue with the big facilities makes that many people engage on small facilities, and it could be the good part of it.
Thank you for sharing. Very important. The last question I have is for Chola. What were the main reasons for the current members to join your energy communities?
Well, when you start to talk about energy communities, first, let's say that you can kind of divide in two groups. One group which are not interested into the gaining the financial benefits are mostly willing to help some projects that they see as a good contribution to their own local community. They want to feel part of something. And of course, let's say that last at least a year or two, energy came into the mainstream, and everybody it's kind of talking about the energy crisis, energy prices. Everything is kind of into this point. But also we are seeing that people who are also seeing this as a let's say an investment. They see energy as a future, as something that people would always need. I might say that this investment in energy communities and energy, especially renewable energy sources projects, are seen as a way of taking out your money from the bank savings and putting into some real projects which can they actually see. So these are two main reasons why people are into the energy communities.
Thanks a lot to all of you. I'm checking the chat, but there aren't any questions for you. But maybe before we continue to the next slide, are there any questions from your sides? Any comments you would still like to add here? Okay. If not, we can continue to the next slide. So we brought this slide today with you to remind you, for all the audience here, to register on the NESOI platform by scanning the QR code. I would highly recommend it to you. The platform provides you with knowledge sharing, e-learning, providers matching, assisted networking, as well as also funding matchmaking. And yeah, please try the platform. Use it, feel free to provide us also with feedback. And yeah, that's to the NESOI platform. And I think we are now ready with our webinar today. And yeah, thank you all for being here today, for your participation. Thank you for the presenters who presented us all the different projects and the different insights about the questions and all related to that. I wish you all a great day and hope to see you soon in the next organizations events we have with NESOI. This webinar was recorded and will also be uploaded to YouTube. So if you would like to check it again, have a look, or if you still need the QR code from the NESOI platform, then also you can check it out. And yeah, thank you all.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks. Bye-bye.
Thank
Bye-bye.
you. Bye.
Bye.
Bye.